They said family always comes first. But when they mocked her, stole from her, and plotted to destroy her career all while living in the house she secretly paid for, Lindsay Morgan decided it was time for a different kind of legacy. Silent. No more. She's about to teach them that the most dangerous thing they ever underestimated was her. When my uncle sent me that video, I felt my whole world tilt on its axis. There they were, my parents and my brother Thomas, sitting around our old kitchen table in Phoenix, talking about me as if I were nothing more than a burden. The familiar Arizona sun streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow that felt like a mockery of the cold words being spoken. Lindsay only helps because she owes us, my mother said, her voice dripping with contempt. After everything we've done for her, paying the mortgage is the least she can do. My brother Thomas chimed in with a smirk. The worst part was my father's quiet nod of agreement. The man who once taught me to ride a bike and helped with my math homework now sat silently, allowing them to tear me down. The video was shaky. Clearly taken without their knowledge, but their words came through crystal clear. I watched it 3 times. Each viewing filled me with a strange mix of numbness and clarity. For the past 4 years, I'd been making substantial payments on their mortgage through my LLC, Divine Investments. They thought they were making payments to a bank, never bothering to read the fine print of the agreement my financial advisor had helped arrange. Every month, they made their small contribution while I covered the bulk of the payment. And all the while, they complained about my minimal help. Uncle Jason's message came right after. You needed to see this, Lindsay. I couldn't stay quiet anymore. They've been talking like this for months. I sat in my home office, staring at the spreadsheets detailing every payment I'd made. The numbers didn't lie. Over $200,000 invested in keeping them comfortable in that house. My hands should have been shaking with anger, but instead, they were steady as I pulled up the mortgage agreement. A small smile played at my lips as I remembered the purchase option clause Kate, my advisor, insisted on including, just in case, she'd said. Looking back, I wonder if she knew something like this might happen. The next payment was due in 2 weeks. For the first time, I knew exactly what I needed to do. Thank you for showing me the truth. I texted Jason. Don't worry, I won't let them know you sent this. But things are about to change. I've always been the family's safety net, though they never admitted it. 4 years ago, when the housing market in Phoenix crashed and they were on the verge of losing their home, I stepped in. I was 27 then, already successful in my career as a software development manager. The irony. They never approved of my career choice. They wanted me to take over my father's struggling real estate business instead. Software is no career for a woman, my mother would say, lips pursed in disapproval. Your brother Thomas is the one with the real business sense. Yet Thomas, with all his business sense, had nearly bankrupted the family company within 2 years of taking over. When they needed help with the mortgage, I consulted Kate. She suggested a creative solution. Create an LLC, buy the house through it and let them think they're still dealing with a bank. That way, you protect yourself legally while helping them. It seemed perfect at the time. I could help without dealing with their pride. The arrangement worked. Divine Investments LLC became their mortgage holder. I supplemented their monthly payments without them knowing. They maintained their dignity. I kept the family stable. Uncle Jason was the only one who knew the truth, having overheard a conversation between Kate and me during a family gathering. You're too good to them, Lindsay, he'd said. They don't deserve your kindness. I defended them, of course. They're family now. Watching that video for the 4th time, I realized how wrong I'd been. She owes us. What a joke. The least she can do. Each phrase felt like a knife, twisting deeper. I opened my laptop and logged into the LLC's account. The next mortgage payment was due on the 15th. They'd never been late before, always transferring their portion like clockwork. But now, knowing how they felt, I had no intention of covering the rest this time. Let them face the consequences of their ingratitude. Let them deal with the bank. They had no idea their daughter's worthless burden was their landlord. Sometimes karma needs a little push. Sunday dinner felt like an exercise in self-control. I arrived at their Phoenix home exactly at 6 p.m. The setting sun painting the desert landscape in brilliant streaks of orange and purple. The house, technically my house, looked exactly as it had for the past 20 years. Stucco walls, the familiar creak in the porch step, and the same rusted wind chimes that jingled in the dry breeze. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of my mother's lasagna, calculated culinary choice meant to summon nostalgia. Lindsay, sweetheart, my mother said, rushing over to hug me. Her designer bracelet caught the kitchen light. I noticed it was new, likely bought with money that should have gone toward the mortgage. Hey sis, Thomas called from the dining table, casually smug in his business casual shirt. Good of you to make time for your family. I smiled at him, remembering his words from the group chat. She barely helps with the mortgage. If only he knew his entire lifestyle depended on the generosity of the sister he's so openly belittled. I always have time for family, I said sweetly. The irony catching in my throat, my father emerged from his study holding a stack of papers, bank statements. From the look of it, I suppressed a laugh. They were preparing their pitch. As we sat at the table, my mother placed a fresh tray of lasagna in front of us. She folded her hands together like a matriarch preparing to deliver a state address. Before we eat, we wanted to talk about something important, she said, glancing at my father. Of course, I said, helping myself to a portion. What's on your mind? Thomas leaned in, his tone rehearsed. As you know, Dad's business has been struggling. The real estate market is doing great, I interjected, looking him dead in the eye. Unless you're referring to Dad's company, which has been struggling since you took over. He flushed. My mother cut in, undeterred. We've been thinking about how blessed we are to have such a successful daughter. Your father and I sacrificed so much to put you through college. The mortgage is a heavy burden, my father added, his tone authoritative. With you doing so well in your computer work software development, I corrected. He waved his hand. Right. We thought you could help more with the payments. It's not much, my mother added quickly. Just an extra $2,000 a month. You don't have children. You don't have a husband. You can afford it. I chewed slowly, nodding as if, considering it, they had no idea I was already paying over $5,000 a month. The audacity was almost impressive. I'll think about it, I said neutrally. Times are uncertain. Thomas scoffed. Please, we all know you're doing fine. Unlike some of us who are working to keep this family's legacy alive, I forced another smile. You're right, Thomas. Sometimes we all get exactly what we deserve. After dinner, I excused myself to the bathroom but took a deliberate detour past my father's study. The door was slightly ajar, and their voices floated out. She's not going to help, Thomas hissed. Did you see how she just sat there, acting all superior with her tech money? Patience, my father said. We have another option. Remember those investment documents I found in her cloud storage? She's been hiding money from us, my mother said bitterly. Some company called Divine Investments. I froze. We'll give her one more chance, my father continued. If not, we can remind her about that time in college when she took money from the business account. She thought we didn't know. That money, I'd borrowed it with his permission after their check for my tuition bounced, and I'd repaid it with interest. Thomas spoke again. If that doesn't work, we can always reach out to her, HR. Maybe suggest she's unstable, make a few insinuations. I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing. The desperation was so raw, it was pathetic. These people weren't family. They were parasites wearing the mask of kinship. I flushed the toilet for show, then returned to the dining room. Lindsay dear, my mother said sweetly, have you given any more thought to what we discussed? Actually, yes, I said, my expression unreadable. You'll have an answer in 8 days. 8 days. Just enough time for them to miss the mortgage payment. 8. Why so specific? Thomas asked. Just checking some things with my advisor. You understand, it's just good business sense. Back at home, I called Uncle Jason. You were right about them, I said. But don't worry, I'm done playing the silent partner. It's time for the final act. The week crawled by. They kept up their pressure, texts, calls, emotional manipulation disguised as concern. Each message only hardened my resolve. Kate confirmed the documents were ready. Once they miss the payment, Divine Investments can exercise the purchase clause. You can take over outright. I've also prepared eviction notices. Just in case. 2 days before the due date, my mother called again. Lindsay, sweetheart, we need your answer. The mortgage. It's becoming unmanageable. Don't worry, Mom, I said calmly. Everything will be clear very soon. That evening, the bank emailed me. Their payment had bounced. Want me to initiate the purchase? Kate texted. Not yet, let them stew. I began drafting a preemptive email to HR at my company. attaching evidence from Uncle Jason documenting my family's threats. The best revenge, I reminded myself, isn't anger, it's silence. And the slow, certain collapse of everything they thought they controlled. The morning of the 15th dawned like any other, warm, dry, and bathed in golden desert light. But for me, it felt different. It felt like justice at exactly 9 a.m. The automated system of Divine Investments dispatched the default notice to my parents' email and physical address. I sat in my home office, sipping coffee, watching the digital clock tick over, waiting for the call. It didn't take long. 12 minutes later, my phone buzzed. "Lindsay," my mother cried. Her voice trembled between hysteria and disbelief. "Something's wrong with our mortgage. The bank is saying we defaulted, but we sent the payment." "Actually," I said coolly, "Divine Investments isn't a bank. It's an LLC. My LLC." Silence. Absolute, loaded silence. "What?" she finally whispered. "Check your email," I said. "You'll find the notice explaining that, due to your default, Divine Investments has exercised the purchase option. The house is now legally mine. Your status has changed to month-to-month tenants." She gasped. "This is a joke, right?" "You're joking." "No joke. I've been covering most of your mortgage for 4 years. You thought you were dealing with a faceless lender. It was me, while you mocked me, plotted behind my back, called me a burden." My father's voice came on. "They'd put me on speaker." "You ungrateful." "Careful," I cut in. "Is that any way to talk to your landlord? The eviction notice is ready. Don't make me serve it sooner than planned." I ended the call and immediately blocked their numbers. Then I opened my inbox. Like clockwork, the flying monkeys descended. Distant relatives, family friends, and people I hadn't heard from in years suddenly had opinions. Family is family. You can't turn your back on blood. You're better than this, Lindsay. Delete, 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 delete. No one had called to ask what they did to me. No one had sent a message saying, "I'm sorry for how they treated you." That silence told me everything I needed to know. 3 days passed. Then came Thomas's tantrum. He sent an email to my employer's HR department, accusing me of misusing company resources, of having mental instability, and of questionable ethics. It was almost impressive how quickly he jumped from entitlement to character assassination. But I was ready. My earlier email to HR, complete with screenshots, legal documents, and a witness statement from Uncle Jason, had laid the groundwork. HR's response was swift. His email was dismissed as retaliation. Worse for him, his actions were flagged and reported to the Arizona Real Estate Board. 2 weeks later, he was under formal investigation for ethical violations. The last I heard, he was suspended pending review. My parents, realizing legal action was futile, tried manipulation next. My mother left a tearful voicemail. "How could you do this to us, Lindsay? We're your family. ... But they had taught me, well, they'd shown me exactly what family meant to them, and I had finally believed them. Exactly 3 months after the default notice. The house was empty. I walked through the vacant rooms in quiet reflection. Each step echoed off the walls. The kitchen where they'd sat and mocked me now felt like a monument to closure. I paused by the window, sunlight streaming in, just like in the video. Divine Investments would now sell the house. Kate had already arranged for a listing agent. The proceeds would go to a foundation I was starting for women facing financial abuse by family members. Something good would come from this. Uncle Jason and his wife were coming by to help clean. He'd been a steady presence throughout it all. When I told him the house was mine now, his eyes glistened. "Took you long enough," he joked, hugging me. My phone buzzed. A message from Kate. "Just heard from their lawyer. They're signing the final papers today. It's officially over." I looked around the house one last time. No more manipulation. No more guilt. No more pretending. They'd always said family comes first, but they never said which family. I chose myself, and for the first time in years. That felt exactly right. It took 6 weeks to prepare the house for the market, not because it was in disrepair, had paid for routine maintenance for years, but because I wanted to ensure the space was emotionally and energetically cleared. Uncle Jason helped rip down the old curtains, steam clean the carpets, and even scrub the kitchen tiles. The physical labor was therapeutic. With every sweep and scrub, I was wiping away years of gaslighting and guilt. We sold the house in under a week. The market was hot, and thanks to Kate's strategic pricing, it sparked a small bidding war. The final offer came from a young couple with a baby on the way. As I handed the keys over at closing, I felt no sadness, no grief, just relief. The house had never really been mine, not emotionally. It was a shell I had propped up for others to inhabit and tear me down from within. Now it would shelter love, not manipulation. The money from the sale was substantial. I met Kate in her office to discuss next steps. "You could invest in another rental," she said, sliding a folder across her desk. "Or take that sabbatical you always talked about." I smiled. "I want to do something different." Kate raised a brow. "Tell me." "A foundation. For women like me, the ones who are exploited by their own families under the guise of duty and loyalty. I want to call it the Morgan Initiative." Kate grinned. "Perfect." We spent the next month establishing the nonprofit. Uncle Jason connected me with a lawyer and a former social worker who specialized in financial trauma. Within 6 weeks, we had a board of directors, a mission statement, and an outreach plan. One afternoon, while organizing paperwork, I received a message request on social media. It was from a woman named Christina Ford. "Hi Lindsay. You don't know me, but I just read your story in the Arizona Advocate. What you did was incredibly brave. I thought I was alone. Thank you for showing me I'm not." My hands trembled slightly as I read the message again. The article Kate had suggested we publish a first-person narrative written anonymously was already making a difference. That night, I cried. Not because I was sad, but because the ache I'd carried for years finally had a purpose. Fall came quickly to Phoenix, and with it, a clarity I hadn't known I was missing. I left my job amicably, on good terms, and began consulting part-time, using the rest of my time to build the Morgan Initiative. Donations began trickling in. Women began reaching out. Some were strangers. Some, heartbreakingly, were people I had once called friends who had been silently suffering. I spoke at a university panel on financial independence. I mentored 3 women starting their tech businesses. I co-authored a report on silent familial coercion with a researcher from ASU. Every time someone asked how it started, I said, they thought I owed them, but I owed myself more. One morning, as I was reviewing applications for a microgrant program, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello, Lindsay. It's Aunt Valerie." I froze. My mother's older sister. "I just wanted to say," she continued, voice tentative, "what you did, it was right. It was long overdue. They treated you terribly." I stayed silent because I didn't want to stir the pot, but I saw it all. "I just want you to know. Not everyone in the family was blind." A lump formed in my throat. "Thank you." "Also," she added, "your mother's trying to throw a pity party. Don't be surprised if she tries to spin the story." "Let her," I said, calmly. My silence was always their greatest weapon. Now that I'm speaking, they have no more leverage. The Morgan Initiative held its first formal fundraiser on the first anniversary of the house sale. We rented a small garden hall, catered locally, and invited survivors to speak. When it was my turn at the mic, I scanned the crowd. Dozens of women, a few men, some family. Uncle Jason sat front row. My former HR manager was there. So was Kate. So was Christina. I adjusted the mic. A year ago, I stopped paying my family's bills. I stopped feeding the narrative that love means sacrifice without boundaries. That loyalty means silence. That duty means debt. I was called cold, cruel, and ungrateful. But here's the thing. When people benefit from your silence, speaking up will always look like betrayal. It's not. It's healing. It's justice. It's power. The applause was quiet at first, then grew louder. I stepped back, heart steady, eyes clear. They said, "Family always comes first." I chose myself, and now I choose others like me. Welcome to the legacy they never saw coming.